Welcome to this lecture. So in the previous lecture we just started making our payload. We just saw how we can send the basic we have already seen here. So we have already instantiated this connection global video here to do in a minute. We saw how to create the socket. We have already seen getting the optional. So basically I'm going to this socket API call, and this was to catch the exception if there is any. So next one is to find to that the address family, and we saw how we can accept that connection. So next thing now what we want to do is use the multi-threading in our programming. We have seen about the multi-threadings and how to create the threads in the previous lectures. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you just check that out, because I have shown you there how the different processes can run simultaneously with the help of threads. So using the threads in our backdoor is the main purpose of doing simultaneous things together. So there will be multiple things that is going on in our backdoor. That is, it will just listen the connection, it will just execute some of these receive send commands simultaneously. So instead of being lag in our programming, we can make use of this multi-threading technique so as to support the different processes running together. So why not to do that if our CPU or processor is capable of doing that? If our processor was not capable of doing that, so scenario would be different. But obviously our processor is very fast, that means we can use multiple support of the threads. So let's see how we can just do that. So we have already seen that we have already just created this bunch of attributes in the previous lecture. We saw how we can just get these threads. So this is the minimum thread we're using 2 threads. This is the jobs to do, and next one is we just instantiated this queue in order to do different jobs together. So let's see. So this is our multi-threading. So here what I want to do is I want to define the job now. So I'll just say work. So this will be my method, and it will do job in the queue. So there will be the queue, and our job will be just taken into that queue from the beginning to the end, and it will do one job at a time, because we know that queue has only access to the last element, because it is basically in the work sense of first in then first out, which is basically our F5 F4, which is if we start first, then it is going to get out at the first. That means whatever you just write at the first will be executed at the first from this queue. So let's see how we can do that. So first of all, I'll just make this imperative, because we want to work to be done continuously, because we'll just make a program that will just do multiple tasks, maybe taking a screenshot, maybe reading a file, maybe giving a message to the client, or opening a web browser in the client, maybe sorting down the client computer. So that will be done multiple times, so that we have to make use of this queue. So let's see first what we need to do. So I'll just create this initial value attribute over here, because we want to get that queue first, and this is the way to get the queue element. So next is to check the integer value. So I'll just say integer value, and if it is the one, then first of all what you need to do is you have to create a socket. So that is first things we are doing, that is creating a socket. That means we have to establish a connection. Next thing what you want to do is obviously you should have guessed, that is binding that connection, and next thing is accepting that connection. So if there is any task that is to be done, first of all we just create that socket, bind and accept, which is the address family connection of the socket module. So every integer value, let me say integer value is 2. So why 1 or 2? So if you have guessed here, we have the jobs, that is array, that is 1 and 2. So we're just saying that there can be the 2 jobs, and we'll do that job based on that queue. So next thing is I'll just make again the loop inside here to check the time. So first of all we are just saying that okay, we have just imported the time. So I'll just save this for a moment, because maybe we have the first task to do. So I'll just say okay, for 0.2 seconds just sleep, and after that now it's time to check the addresses. So I'll just say if len of A addresses is maybe greater than 0. So if it is 1 addresses at least, I'm going to break for now. But here we have to get some menu, which will be the menu or tags that user want to do. So for now I'll just keep in this comment out, but we have to just implement this main menu for now. So this will be our main menu, which should be called. If there is any addresses, that is, we have to give the menu to the user, and then I have to tell to the user that what they want to just get. So basically we are doing this job. So let's go over here and let's see that what we can do next is we have to call this queue, and we have to say that task is done. So this is the method, because for each of these attributes we have to do this 2 times. So I will say queue dot task done 1 more time, and now we have to just exit from here. So I'll just say exit, and the status code will be 0 in order to exit. So what we just did here was we just did the job in the queue. So whatever there is in the queue, we have just done that. If there was 1, basically we created the connection. This 2 is for the menu. So menu is basically to do some tasks. Maybe it will be something like taking a screenshot of client, or basically giving a message or opening a browser. So these 2 or 2 integer represents that task. So if there is a 2 tasks, that means we'll just get main menu, which will just represents the task that the user want to do on the client. And basically this is the way to represent your work. So next thing is very important in the multi-threading, and now let's do that. And the first thing I want to do over here before this work is to create the threads. So let's define that method. So I'll just say create me that threads. So if you see, this work was just completed over here, this function, but if you just see, we haven't called this work method anywhere. So that should be done inside this thread, because work is done in the thread. So first of all, we just create the thread and we'll just pass this work to that thread. So for okay, I'll just go down again, and for in arrays maybe of integer threads, because we have given the 2 threads, that means we'll just create the 2 threads. So it will just loop in that thread, which is basically going to be the list 1 and 2 elements. And after that I want to just make object thread. So basically this will be the thread of object. You know how to create it, it is from this threading module and thread class. So if you haven't seen this, check out the documentation, and let me just go back here. Let me show you the documentation of threading. So this is the official documentation of the threading, and you could see it down here. It will have these threads. So this is the thread class, and this is going to be called with this group, which is the optional, and the target is also the optional, but we are going to execute something over here. So this is very important. Target is something you want to execute with this thread. So you could see now back to our Python, and here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the target to be some value, and that will be your work method to be called. So what we just do here, we just make use of thread, which is basically getting this thread 1 thread, and 1 at a time we are just working with this module. So next thing is to create the daemon. So what this daemon means is to execute our main thread. So I'll just say true. Okay. So next thing is to start our thread, and you know how to start. It is not by the run method, it is using this start command. We have seen how to execute our thread in the previous lecture. If you haven't seen that, please make sure you see first that lecture where I have shown you what is the use of the threads, and basically so how simultaneous program can be executed without time sharing. different techniques of a processor. So next thing is let's go way up and let's join that is joining the queue. So that is all about these create threads. So the last method we have is to create the jobs. So let's define that. So I'll just create jobs. So this is all about the multi-threading. So for if you just remember, we have also created here the empty list, or basically the list for the array jobs which was 1 and 2. So based on that, we'll just loop on that first. So I'll just say integer threads in that array job which is going to give us 1 and 2. So here I want to put that into the queue. So in order to put that, I have to say that in threads which was 1 and 2 element was put in the queue, and we just loop on that queue, and based on that we just do these tasks, and basically we just there is put that thread into the queue. So next thing is to join that queue again, and let's see, I said join. So this is also what is the state. We just created the job, we just put the thread ID into the list. This is this thread ID. So we just say that we have the thread ID that is to be put into this list for a queue. So next thing is to call this to method. So let's say we have to call first this create threads method, and after that we have to call create job method. So this is all about the multi-threading. What we just did here was we just made this work method to be called with this thread, and each time we have to make use of this queue to do that. So this is all about the multi-threading. We saw how we can just use the simultaneous time saving technique of a processor in order to do multiple tasks. So this will be it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll just list out some of the connection. We'll go to the client part and we'll just execute our program to see all the connections, and we'll just simultaneously add some of the operations like taking the screenshots or making client to log their PC away and something like that. So that will be covered in the upcoming lectures. See you in the next one. We have already seen the teaser in the previous lecture. Now let's just start making that backdoor from this lecture notes. So first of all, I have opened my PyCharm in the server side. So this is basically our Kali Linux. So in the Kali Linux, which will be our server, so let me just create a new Python file. So let me say this is the backdoor. And now we have created now backdoor file in this Kali Linux. So you can clearly see this is my Kali Linux, which is server side. So let's start importing some of the module. We have seen how this socket module works, because it is the module that will just communicate between these two server and clients. And next one I want to import is OS module and the time module. Let's see threading module. We have seen about the threading. Now let's get that threading into the action by making some of the threads to run the multiple processes simultaneously. So next thing I want to import is queue. So from queue I want to import this class, which is queue class. So if you see, the queue is similar to that of list. We have already learned about the data structure, that is the list, which was usually inside this code, or basically inside this square bracket. You can simply put any element inside this queue. So basically this is the list, but if you see this list is on order, that means you can just get every element from this list. You can see that you can just get these two elements from this indexes of the list, but in the case of queue, this is not possible. That is only the difference between the list and the queue. So in the case of list, you can access every element, but in the queue, you can access only the end of the element. That is because it starts with first in, first out basis. That means you can only insert to the beginning and basically get out the element from the last. You cannot access the middle element. In the case of queue, just remember that you can only insert to the last, and you can insert basically to the last here, and you can only get this element out from the queue one at a time. So that is basically the difference between the queue and the list. It is quite similar in the case of processing, only you cannot access the middle element in the case of queue. So let's see first, here I want to make threads. So I want the two threads to be running simultaneously. And let's say job, so let's say jobs will be one at a time. So I'll just make a list one or two. There will be two jobs that will be created. So that will be stored in this list. So it is only the jobs. So let me just remove this process from here. So next thing I want to do is instantiate this queue because we don't want to run this queue to make our job or this queue to execute our job. Now we have just instantiated that queue. Let's make the array addresses. This is very important because we have to now capture these addresses in the form of list. These addresses or these addresses will be of the client, which will be our window machine. So there can be multiple clients that want to connect to this server. That means we have to make this list because there may be many connections. So let's see another way our connection because there is addresses, there will be multiple connection even. So let's see this should be also a list. Now let's make our host. So host will be simple host, that is the IP addresses of this Kali machine. So you can also get your IP addresses by simply going over here and let me type ifconfig. So I have already typed ifconfig and you could see this is my IP address right here. So you have to just type your IP address in this field which is string host. So next thing is the port I want to listen. So I want to listen in 4444 port. So next thing I want to do is the pop, which is the maximum characters that it can receive. It will be 1204 bytes, which is 1 MB. So the next thing is to create the function. So let's see how we can just create the function. If you remember what we have learned about the anonymous function or a lambda function in the packet or backing argument section, or basically in the function section of the basic Python lectures, then you could see we can simply create the lambda function without the definition. So let me just close this one. So what we can do is we'll say first the decode UTF. So we are using the version that is the Python version that is 2.7. You do not need to do this, but if you are using the newer version from maybe 3.5 plus, then you have to just call this function first. So let's make this lambda function, which is an anonymous function, and I have to pass argument which is data to this function, and we'll just decode this because this function is going to just decode. So I'll just decode it with UTF-8. So this is the function to just return decoded UTF-8. So let's make another function, and this will just return the string with quotes removed. So we'll just make this in the long run. So we'll just make here because this will be also the lambda function. So I'll just pass this string which will be argument to this function, and I'll just replace. So what I'm going to do here is I'll just replace now with this double quote. Let me just give this escape and again this. So what I really mean here is this escape characters will identify that this is to just remove or replace. So if there is a double quote, I want to just replace with this nothing, or basically with an empty string. So if you want to just remove this escape character, that is not going to work because this will not be included inside this string. So you can say that this is now the invalid string. So if you want to just include double quote inside your string, you have to give this escape character. So now we have included that inside our string. Now this next thing is to create more functions. So let's see what next we can just create. So first of all, let me create a function that will just send the data. So what I really mean is this function, which is send function. We have seen the layer of our socket programming API call, and this was the same function. So what this function is going to do is this is going to send the data based on the connection that is sent. So if you see here, we haven't made the connection object yet. We'll just make this unit, but this is the function that is going to send the data. So next, you can just see that next function will be always to receive the data, and the data will be received, let me say, buffer. And here you have to make use of connection object again. So I will say connect. So the connection is basically the connection that is done by the socket module. So we'll do that in a minute. We have already seen that how to just connect in the previous lecture. So that will be exactly what we are doing in a minute now. So first of all, instead of just making everything right over here, let me call one method. So quick method. This will be method that will receive the large amount of data. So let's make that function. So I'll say that is receive, and receive is already created over here. So let me say receive all. So this is the function that is going to get a large amount of data. So in the form of buffer. So I will say byte data, and this is the way to get the byte data. So now we have included the byte data. So let me say it is byte data. Now let's accept that buffer. So in order to accept that buffer, let me just make a while loop, and this is the continuous loop because the data can become continuously. That means you have to make use of that loop, and I'll just take a part of that data. So first of all, we'll just take that part which is using this method, receive method that we just created over here. And the next thing is I want to check the length, because I want to just get that data length in order to just send the byte or part of the data. So first of all, if I check the part, and if that part is complete buffer, so what we are doing here is to return everything that is inserted and not to just get only part. So we'll just return that is byte part. Else, in the else part you have to just concatenate that, because we are not getting everything over here. If this byte part is basically not the buffer that we send here, that means this is not complete the data, or basically this byte part is not complete. That means we have to make byte data in a part of the data. Basically what happens here is you will just receive that data, and we are just checking if that is the part or whole. If it is a whole, which is done right here by checking that if that data is a whole, or if that part we received is a whole, then we'll just return that by part or byte part. If that is not whole, we'll just concatenate to make it as a whole. And then now we'll just see again if that is again whole or not. So again let's check with the same statement as before. If that byte data now that we concatenate is whole or not, in order to check if it is complete data or not, we have to check if this buffer that we sent. And if it is the case, then we'll just return again that byte data. So we have now created this receive all method. Now let's start making our socket. So let's go down here and let's start making our socket programming. So first the method I want to make is create socket. So this will be method. We have already seen how to use the socket. So first of all, I'll just say global object of socket. So this will be global object, or basically this will be global variable, that is it will be visible all in part of this file. So it is only not a local, that means it won't only be visible inside this function. This object socket can be also accessed outside of this function because this is global. So let's make our try catch block, because there is going to be socket error if we don't connect this correctly. So firstly, I want to just create that object of socket. So you know how to create that socket object is through this socket. Now we have created this socket. So let's add some of these optional parameters to the socket. So I will say object socket and set, and this should be set sock option. So in this option, I want to give now first option, that is socket dot yes OL, and that is as well socket. And this is a part of IPv4 we have already seen in the previous lecture. So the next argument that I want to give is reuse address argument. So this will be the next argument, and the last one would be the integer on the byte. I want to give value 1. So if you see here what we just did was we just use this address if it was not connected properly. So this was the other argument that was going to be for us. So the next thing what we need to do is that catch if there is an exception or not. So if there is an exception, that is going to be your error, or okay, error, and I'll just take that error and I'll just analyze it string error. So there will be the error, and what you need to do is simply print that error if there is a wrong connection. So I'll see error creating sockets because there is exception here, and this is going to give us the information. We just concatenate it our string, and that should be the string error. That should be string error. So what we just did over here was we just connected our socket. So we just made this program in order to create the socket. So next thing what we need to do is make a socket bind. So socket bind is very important, and we haven't learned about the socket bind in the previous lecture. Let's define it and we'll learn it how we can just bind that socket. So if you check the documentation of this socket module, you will see that we have the socket bind which will just accept the IPv4 address family in the form of your host and the port. You can see we have now created that host and the port, which is this string host, and the port that this server will listen to. So we just pass to this address family. So that is the main use of this bind. So I'll just say object socket. And now what I need to do is end this strike as block because there can be also the error same error. So I'll just say print first. Okay, let's go again here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to just say that listening on port, because now we have already connected to that socket. That means we have to listen to the port. And I'll just connect it with maybe the port. So this was the port that we just defined right here, which was 4444. So it will just give us a message if there is any connection. So next thing is to bind. So I'll just take that object socket and I'll just bind it with the tuple, and the tuple here will be your str host, and the next thing will be int port, which is our port. So this bind is basically the address family representative, and this will basically take to the form into the tuple of our port and the host. So next thing is to call the relation, and I'll say 20 seconds. And the next thing is to catch that exception. So I'll just copy this because it will be similar. Copy it over here and I'll just paste it here. So if there is an error, so instead of just printing error creating socket, now it will be error binding socket, and we'll just get that error. We'll just say that again socket bind should be called again, which is the same method. This method should be called if there is error binding that socket. So now we have also created that socket bind. So next method I want to create is socket accept. So this will be important method because this will make our connection established between the server and the client. So the last method over here is socket accept. So the last method of the socket family. So here what you need to do is I'll just make a complete loop, or basically infinite loop. So as before, there can be error. So in order to catch that socket error, we'll just make some connection first. So let me just make a space. So it is very important because if you just accept any connection, then you will just get the two things over there. First is the connection and next one is the address, which will be done by this object socket. So after that you will just accept that socket. So you can see we have this object socket global here. So if there is a connection established, it will just get us this connection and the address that this is established with. So next thing what I need to do is I'll just say connection dot set blocking, because after the connection is there I don't want the timeout. So I'll just put here 1, and this is basically for no timeout. So next thing I want to do is I want now, if you just remember what we have just created here, that this, so given trace at this here for the trading part, we'll just cover this in the next lecture. But now you can see the next thing we just created was these two fields. So these two were the list. So there was area addresses and area connection. So this is the two list which represents if there is any connection, that means this should have some clients added to it. So let's go here, because we have now created a socket center definition. That means we have to now add that connections, which is with this, because there is a connection now, so we have to add that array to the connection. So next thing what we need to do is we just get the client info. Client info is basically the info that is the connection, or basically the information that it is connected with. So if you see decode UTF was the function that we just created right here, the lambda function that is going to decode our data. So this is important, because if you do not decode it, it is not going to work in the Python newer version. So first of all you have to decode it. So what we are going to decode is the receive buffer. So we have created this receive function also in order to receive, and you know how to receive the data, because we have seen in the first lecture of this section to receive the data from the client, which is with this receive method. So in the receive, what we are going to do is we are going to get the tuple. So let's see how this is going to do. So first of all I'll say int pop, which is the data that we are going to get, and after that I want to just split with this split method of the string. So I'll just say split, and here let me just say that I want to split maybe the comma with a comma, and with maybe the one apostrophe. Okay, we want to split with this because we want to just get that data or client info, and each of this client info will have distinguished between this. So it can be maybe Windows 10 and the basically information about that Windows server, which will be some characters. So that information will be stored in this client info, and we'll just split each of this info with these characters as symbol. So next thing is very important, because we have to now create the addresses. So let's get that address. So in order to get that address, first we have to just use this client info, and this is basically the list. So the first part in this client info will be your list, and the next thing I want is the second, or basically this part, and let me say that is client info second part, because there will be maybe 3 information. So there will be 3 addresses over here. So the next thing is to append to the array addresses that we just created over here, which are these array addresses. So what we are just aiming over here is, first of all we just clear the socket, that is the connection. Second is binding that to our port and IP addresses. Third one is to socket SF, that means we will just SF all the connection that is going to just have the incoming connection. And the next thing is we want to just SF everything is incoming connection that is coming to the server. So in order to do that, we have to just append now to these addresses, and that is with this address that we just captured. So now what we do is we just give the connection, we just give some information to the user saying I have some connections, let me say /n first, and I want to append this with connection has been established, and I'll just get the information is 0, and let me get here this one. So we just format this. You know how to format. It is using this format keyword. And if you want to format here, then it should be with the address that is 0 and 2. This 0 and the next one would be address 2. So what we just did over here was we just formatted. So nothing big over here because it is saying that connection has established between these elements, which is obviously the client, and this address 2 will be the server information, which is this IP address of the server. So let's go down now. It's time to catch that exception that we just so here I'll just say okay, except, and that will be your socket error. So socket dot error. If there is an error, then let me just over here. If there is an error, I want to just print the message saying, let me just go over here again. I'll just say error accepting connections. Just give this. Now this will be the message, and I'll just say continue, do nothing. I'll just skip over here. So these are the some method, which is the methods of the socket address family. You can see what we just did over here. We just receive all the data. We just get the socket binded and socket exception. That means in order to see if there is any socket connection between the server and client. So in the next lecture we'll make use of the multi-threading, and we'll just make use of the client data to see the connection. We'll make all the backdoor in the upcoming lectures. See you in the next one. Welcome to this lecture. Now from on it will be all interesting lectures because we'll just make our backdoor much more interesting and much more advanced. So first of all, we can see that this was our server, and we will just make this spaces, and basically, so what you can see here is we have made this connection between the server and the client quite successfully. So how we can list the connection with that statement before. So next thing what I want you to show is, so before that, let me just run this one more time, and let me just go here at the list connections, and let me show you what changes I have made. So it is our backdoor, obviously it is backdoor.py file, and it will be listening on this port. Let's go back to our Windows machine. Let's run that backdoor.py over here. Let's go back to our Kali Linux, and it is showing that the connection has been established to that machine. Let me now again list that. Then you could see I have made this. I have this basically the details quite right in the place about these numbers, obviously about these informations. So in the previous lecture you could see that it was not at the right place, it was somewhere here, and what was obviously not in the right place. So I have made some changes. You can make this, or basically we have the code from the resource section. So what I just made was I just created some position like this. So instead of here putting 3 spaces, I just made somewhere 4 and somewhere 3 in order to be at the right places. So it is just a small bug, so I didn't cover it in the videos, but you can do it on it your own because it is a simple bug. So you can simply see how much space you needed and simply add that number to here. So this was what we did in the previous lecture. We saw how we just listed the connection that is established to the client, and if I just say yes, which was used to just close the connection, and ready to enter, it will just close, and if you go back to the Windows, it has also not executed anymore the Python code. So let's go back here and let's modify some of your containers. So now what we want to do is, from now on we have to see how we can just make our payload much better than before. That means we have to run now the frame command on the client side and see how that works. So before that we have to now interact with that client. Now we have just listed the connection with the list connection method, like we get this IP address, but we are not interacting with the client. So first of all we have to make the code so that it will interact with the client. So let me just go here And this was the process to list the connection. So after we list the connection, it will just define the method which will just create that connections or basically the interaction between the connections. So for that, I'll just select that connection which is going to interact with that connection or interact with that client. So I'll just going to pass here that is connection ID, which refers that we may have the different client that is connected to the server. So we'll just specify that we are just interacting with the one particular client at a time, and the next is the response. So I'll just say that if I just get the response, it should be get response, which is the socket information basically. So this is our second argument that we are going to pass in this selected connection. So let's make first the global. So the global will be connection, and I'll just get the array info now. And here after we just connect, so basically if you see this array info is the info of the IP addresses, PC name, OS, and the username. You could see right here we are not getting the username, but now we have to capture the username. We'll capture the PC name over here, which is this PC name, OS, and also the IP addresses of the client in this array info. So let's go over here. And the first thing I want to do in this method is let me just start with this try catch block because they make the exception. So let's write this try catch block, and first of all let me just get this connection ID which is sent from here. Let's get that first. So it should be, let me first typecast this before just doing anything, so that it will be converted into the integer, because you know that input function will just get you the connection ID in the form of a string, but we want that in the form of integer. That means we are just converting that string to the integer. Next thing is I want something that is the connection. So if you see we have this array connections of array, and I want that if I just say here, so you can see what I have just done here. So I'm just getting this connection which is specific to particular client. So you can think like this way. So there may be the list of connection, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in our case it starts with 0. So there may be this list of connection that is going to connect to the server. Maybe we have only 3 connections, but at a time we can only interact with one. That means we'll just say that array connections, that is this list of connections, and only one at a time, that is with this connection ID. If I say something like, okay, I want these array connections, and that is only with the first client, that is going to give us this. So let's remove this. And here, what you want to do is we have to now catch that exception. If there is any exception, we're going to catch it here. We'll just print the message to the user that is invalid choice. There is no any client that is with that connection ID. Please try again. So I think this exclamation should be over there, not here. Okay, I'll just put comma. If I'm wrong over here, just bear with me, and I'll just return if there is any error, because that is invalid and we are not going to do anything if there is an error. So the next part is else part, and in this else part what we are going to get is, okay, we're going to get, let me just make spaces. And in this else part, we are going to get some of the information like IP addresses, and you could see I have told you before that we are going to get that from this array info, because we are getting the IP addresses, the PC name, and the OS, and the username, everything in this array info. So let's code that here. So what I'm going to do is I'll just store it in the array info that we just created, and here I want the array addresses, and you know all the information is inside this array addresses. Connection ID is basically referring to that particular client, and here I want maybe the first, which will be your addresses, or basically if you see the first part will be always your connection ID and the IP addresses. So we are just getting first of all the IP addresses of that client. So we'll just catch that IP address. Okay. What we have to do here is, okay, let's typecast this. We can convert this for maybe from integer to the string. So next thing I want to get is obviously in the form of PC name. We want something. Okay, let me just type here what we want so that we don't have any confusion before. So first thing I want is IP address. We have got over here. That is basically the IP addresses of the client and the connection ID. And the first part of that list will be IP address. Next thing I want will be PC name maybe, and the OS, and the last I want the username. So let's go over here and let's start now writing the next part for our PC name. Now this will be PC name. We don't want the port name, and just remember that we don't want port name which is in the list at the index 1. So we don't want that. We just want our, let me say, first of all is connection ID, and we want that is 2, not 1, because 2 is your PC name, 1 is your port name. We don't want the port name. So next thing, so I have told you that if you want to go down, basically if you want the multiple line execution of this statement, you can use this backward slash and you can go down in order to execute. And here what I want is maybe another thing that will be array addresses, and here connection ID. So I want the OS, which is operating system. So I'll just say 3 is our OS, and next is to go again to the next line. I'll just get again another information from this client, and this client information will be your username. So it will be at the fourth index. You can check your information from this by just typing this information or writing this manually code on your PC, and you can see what information you can get on each of this list. But I assure you that the list will be something like this. So first in this list will be IP address. Next will be your port name. Next in this will be port name or port address, and third one will be your PC name. So this will be your list and the PC name and your OS operating system, and after that it will be your username. So this will be stored as in this array of addresses, and basically this is the socket pary command. So you can check the documentation if you want to know more about that. And the next thing if I want to say here is these responses. So just say what this response is. So if this response is true, so this, okay, it is not true, it is this true. If this is true, then what I want is I want the information printed right away that you are connected, okay, you are connected to. And if you see I want the IP addresses, so what am I going to do is I'll just say info that we have this information, and if you see it has the indexes that is 0, which represents that it is basically an IP address. So you can see in the array info the first index is IP address, so we are just saying the information that you are connected to this IP address. And let me just give some spaces here and some more spaces, and just format it with the slash n. So if the responses is positive, we'll just see that and we'll just return that connection. So this will be our select connection method, but if you see we haven't called this method anywhere, let's go to our menu section, which is this menu section, and let's see how we can just interact with this. So what am I going to do over here is, first of all, you can see we have got this statement which is saying that input is something from the user. So I'll just say elif and the string. So let me say string, and if string choice, string choice is entered by the user, and if that, and let's slice that string first. And if you are confused on the slicing part, let me show you real quick. Ideally, open ideally, and if I say something like, let me say, this is my name, and if I say BCD, and if I want to be sliced from maybe from this B to E. What I need to do is simply put the indexes of that in here. So first of all will be inclusion position, that is if I want will be this letter, that is B C D, not E. I have to go from zero index and first index. So first of all I'll just put 1 because I want to go from B. I'll put the column and I have to go from B to D. That means I have to count till D now. So B is at 1, C is at 2, D is 3, but we don't have to put 3 here. We have to put 4 because we have to include one more B because this is not inclusion position, this is an exclusion position. So instead of just 3, because we want to include this letter which is at position 3, so we have to put here 4. If I do this, then you will get PCD. So this is your slicing technique. So what we just did here is basically we are getting something that is equal by the user only the 3 characters. So after we just get that, we just check, and if that is string that is equal by the user is maybe this I. So we are just saying that basically what we are telling here is it starts from the index is 0, 1, 2, so are only including this string, and if it is the case, then let me just say then that is we are also checking if that string choice has the length that is greater than 3. Then what we are going to do here is we are going to select that connection. Basically we have made this method right over here that is going to just select that connection. So we just did here. So we are going to just select that in this main menu. If I get this dash dash I, so if I get the command that is dash dash here, we'll just list the connection. We have seen this command right here that is doing dash dash here, and we are just listing the connection. Now instead of dash dash here, if I get something that is dash dash I, we have to select that connection because we have to now interact with that connection. So what I'm going to do here is, if you see in the select connection, we have passed some argument over there. So you could see, I have already told you before that it will be the connection ID that refers to the particular client. Maybe this is the list of client we want to interact with only one client. That means this will be connection ID that is referring to the particular client, another will be the response. So let's go over here and where is the main menu? Okay, it is here. So in the select connection, first of all, I will say that string choice, and I have to now get this 4. So let me show you what am I doing here. And the next thing will be true in order to see that if it has been connected properly or not. So let me make this space over here. So now what am I done over here? Let's see. So let's go over here, select connection. And what we did was basically we get the connection ID, and if this response was positive, then it is going to get us you are connected to this IP addresses. So let's go back to the menu and show you what am I doing over here. So if I just type your command, so let me just go over here. And if I just type your command instead of X, if I just say something like dash dash C, dash dash I, in this case this is I, and this dash dash I is basically the 3 part of this string choice, and there can be one more letter which is the connection ID. So let me just run this and show you. So let me just run here, and it is running on the port. Let's go back to our windows and let's run our backdoor that is from here. Let's go back. We should have get the connection. Let me just list that connection first. We have seen this before, and you could see now. So next thing what you want to do is interact. So you could see ID is there. So in order to interact with the client, you have to first type dash dash I. I have already shown you here that in order to select the connection, you have to put dash dash I. And the next thing that you want to add is this 0, because this is the client ID you want to interact. And you could see it has shown here that is select connection, and this part over here represents the complete what we just said after this dash dash I. So this first part, because I have told you this will be your connection ID. So if you just go to the select connection part again, and This is your connection ID, which is after this test aside. So if I hit enter now, you will see that you are connected to this IP address. So that means we have successfully run our select connection. Now from the next lecture, we can just make our payload much more superior than before, because we have to now run many commands on this machine, like running the web browsers, running maybe the screenshot, taking the screenshot, and running the command, shutdown command. We'll do much more in the next lecture. See you in the next one. Welcome to this lecture. Now let's get to the point where we can just communicate this client to the server, which is our calling machine. So in the previous lecture, we just made this sandbox to run our backdoor on. We just detect the virtual machine and we just assign some of these stops over here. So let's get to the main part now. So what we're going to do here is we just define the method which is going to connect to the server. I'll just say server connect is the method. So here I'll just make the function that is going to do that connection for us. So let me just go over here. And now, so first of all, I'll just define the global, and this global will be our object, socket object. So now next thing what we need to do is this should run continuously. That means we'll just make this a loop, infinite loop. Let me give the tab, and this is basically to run until the socket can connect, or basically until we get the socket object correctly. So let's see with the socket object now. So let's instantiate basically. So you know how to instantiate this socket. So it is from this socket module that we imported, and this socket class or the API call through this socket. So next thing is to use this socket, or basically it should be object socket, and we have to now connect. And this connection should be inside the tuple. We have seen this in the first lecture where we just made a connection between the server and the client. So you can just reference to that video if you get any confusion on this method, which is connect method. So here what you need to pass is this string host, which is the host IP address, and the port number in the form of a tuple. So I'll just say string host str host, and the next one will be your integer port, that is a port number which the server is listening to. So now we have just made a connection. So if there is an exception, there may be the exception of this socket, and it should be the header. And if it is the case, let me give the tab, and I will just say something like sleep for maybe 5 seconds. So this is to wait 5 seconds to try again, because you know that this is the infinite loop. So we could just try again after this 5 seconds. Else, we just go to the else part. If it is the case, sorry, nothing is connection happens when we just break. So this will be your server connect. So you could clearly see we just made a connection right over here. So next thing is we'll just get the host name, and that can be done right after this while loop. So after this while loop, I'll just make this user input variable. And here what I'm going to take is from this socket class, or from the socket object, we are going to call this method which is get host name. So this is going to get us a host name, and from here now you have to get something concatenated. So first of all, let me say I want to concatenate it with maybe this code, and okay, this is the concatenation. So now I want to concatenate it with this column, and now what we need to add is from this platform what we just imported. If you see here, we have imported this platform module, and now let's see the platform, because we want the system of that platform. So I'll just say platform.system. It is the method of this platform module to get the system, and the next thing I want to get is the release method. So okay, let me give some spaces so as to make the information more friendly, and it should be platform and dot release method, and let me just add this one. So if you see that this line has been already appeared, so if I just press pause and just give this a backward slash and go to the next line, this is not going to work in the case of Notepad++. So just remember that you have to get everything written in the single line over here. So next thing is, after we just see the release, we have to now detect this sandbox here, which is our method. So we have written this method, and I have told you in the previous lecture that this method is going to run in a such way that this backdoor, or basically this reverse shell that we are just making, will run on this sandbox here rather than in the actual machine. So next thing is to detect our virtual machine, and we are just calling this method over here. So next thing is again to concatenate. So next information I want to concatenate with is the environment of the username. And let's make another information over here. So first let me just give this again the comma, or maybe first quote and the comma, and again close this with the concatenation, because we're just concatenating it with, basically we're just concatenating it with now the environment. So it is very important, okay? So it is environment, okay, this method. So we want to, what we want is, we want the username of the client. So if you want that, it should be username, and this will get you the username. So we have completed this long statement, which is going to give us the string about the user information. You can see we get this platform system, which is a get, or basically we just call for this detect sandbox, which is going to load out some DLL file, and we just detect this virtual machine. We get that environment information. Next thing, what I want to do is send this information back to the user, or basically back to the server. So if you know how to send it, this is done by this send method. We haven't created maybe this send method. Let me just create this first and I'll show you. So what I'm going to do here is, we have to encode this message before sending, because in the version that is newer version of Python, without encoding it is not possible to send the data back to the server. So I'll just say this user info. Okay, it is user info. This user info should be sent back to the user. So let's make some of this function now in order to just do these operations. So the first function I'm interested is that the function that is going to return the decoded UTF-8. We have done this in the server section too, but that is not enough. We have to do in the case of this client too. So I'll make use of this anonymous function again, and I'll just say data is the argument that is passed. We want to decode that data. So if you will see, this is the decode method that is going to decode your data. So it should be decoded with this UTF, okay, every time. So because what happens is, in this notepad, when I just type this double quote, it is obviously converting me to maybe this at the rate. So the keystroke is changed in this notepad++. So what I want to do here is UTF-8 is the decoding. So let's go over here and make another function, and this function is going to decrypt the data. And if you want to decrypt, that is basically receive the data. And this is also the function that is going to receive the data that is sent from the server. And I'll just make this lambda function again, and I'll just say this is the buffer, and it will be in this object socket. So object socket is the object of our socket module, and we have this receive function that is the API call to that socket, and we'll just receive that buffer. Now next thing is to send the data. We have now received the data from the server. Next thing I want to do is send the data. So in order to send the data, we'll make use of this same lambda function. I'm going to say it is the data, and now it is the object socket that is going to have this send method, and it is the data. So now we have already completed this some function. So what this is going to do is, this is going to decode, and again this is going to decode, and the next thing is this, and this is going to receive the data, this is going to send the data. So let's call now this function, and the function I want to call is this server connect. So I'll just say server connect. should be called here. Now we have completed the process in order to connect back to the server. So let's do something that is going to have the connections, and let's do this while loop. So I'll just say while true, this is infinite loop, and let me just go over here and try, because maybe we're going to get some error, then it will just catch over here. So inside this I'll make another infinite loop. Let's go back here, and the first thing I want to get is the string data, that is to receive the data from the server, because we want to execute something in the client. That means we have to get something from the server in order to execute that from for the client. So I'll just say int buff is the data that is to be received. So next thing is integer data, or let me say this same data, and that is to be decoded, because it was encoded in the case of the server. We have to decode with this UTF-8 function that we just created over here. This was the same UTF-8 decoding technique that we used to do. So I'll just say string data should be decoded now. Now let's check what is this str data. So this is important. So if this str data is okay, we can, let's go back to our Kali Linux and let's see what am I talking about. So if you see here, this was our backdoor that we use, and basically this has this list connection method. And now if you can see here, this close method has sent, this is the connection, and this has sent to client, that is the information encoding, that is exit. Basically, it has encoded this exit message and has sent this message back to the client. That means we can now check that if that message is exit or not. If the message that is sent by the user, obviously by the client, or not the client, it is obviously the server, which is our Kali Linux. If the Kali Linux send that exit message from there, and basically we can see that this reset method is going to get that data for us, and we have decoded it in the client. And the next thing I want to do is, if this is the case, you have to close your connection, that is using this object socket, and we have this close method to close it, and I want to just exit from the system, that is done by this system exit. So we have successfully completed the first syntax. We haven't covered anything about maybe the message or maybe some backdoors like a screenshot, but now this is the simple skeleton where we can just now write some of the payload. So before that we have to accept or basically handle the exception if we just get any. So if there is exception, maybe that should be socket dot header, and if the socket or basically the server closes without warning, without giving warning, then this exception will be catched over here. And first of all, what we need to do in that case is we have to close that socket, because there may be the chance that server will close without giving any warning, and in that case we have to also delete that object, and that should be done with this delete object socket. And the next thing is we have to call again this server connect method, which will just again try back to connect to the server. So let's see what we just did here. So it was easy coding over here. We just saw how mutex work, or what is the use of this mutex. We saw how this sandbox work. We saw this detecting the virtual machine, and we just coded here that is the server connect. So we have already seen how to connect in the previous lecture, that is using this socket module, giving this tuple in the form of string host, which is the server host IP address, and the port which this server will be listening. And the next thing is getting this user information. We are just getting the data with these lambda functions and receiving and sending the data. And here we are just getting some data from the user. If this is the exit data sent by the server, then we just close that connection and exit from the system. Otherwise, we just try back to connect to the server. So this is the coding we just did here. So let me save this first, and let's go back to our Kali Linux, and let's make that server. And basically this is our backdoor.py which we just made. We don't have anything over here because we don't have any backdoor like screenshot or sending message to a client or just making some movement or basically making some command executed on the machines. That is not yet covered, but we'll just cover in the next lecture, upcoming lecture. That will be more interesting lecture. But for now, you can see we have this method which is list connections. So we can just try to see if this connections works or not. So let's run this first. So that is running here, and I'll just run here. That is this backdoor.py, which is the same file over here. So I'll just make this. So it is saying listening on a port 4444, which is the message that we just have here. That should be right. Okay, well, that message is should be in the main menu. So it is right here. Okay, it is not right here. It should be where is that? Okay, this is the socket bind. Basically, it is just listening to that port. Now we have to execute this main menu. So before that, it will just listen to this port and just listen for the all incoming connections. So it is basically listening for the incoming connection. So let's go back to our Windows machine. We have saved this file. First of all, we have to save this file, and let's see if this gives any error. So let's go there, and here this is basically storing the desktop. That is this my backdoor. And now let me just open my CMD. Let me just go to this desktop. And now I want to run this file using the Python command. And that file is backdoor.py. So let me hit enter. And now let's go back to our server, which is this Kali Linux. It has shown us information, say this is the information, and we have also got this message of desktop. You can clearly see over here we have this desktop message, which is the same machine that is right over here. This is the machine, and we just get the information over here saying that this is the IP addresses. This is running on, because if you say I have formatted in such a way that I'll just get that information. Okay, where is that? It is okay, here is that. So this was the information connection has established. 0 was basically the IP address, and the one which we just have here was the desktop. So I have already told you before that these addresses will contain some of the IP addresses, and if you just type 1 over here, that will be your port name. So basically we don't want port name, we just want the desktop name. That means we just get the IP addresses and the desktop what we are running. So next thing is we have to run the command. So if you see here this double arrow, so this double arrow was from here. This was the main menu just printed. So this main menu was printed now, and it will just getting us the input saying that let me just get some input from here. So if I just say that I don't want to type either this yell, which is the command which will just list our connection, or this -x which will close our connection. Instead, if I just type something random, something English, it is going to give us this menu help, because now this else part will run and it will just print that invalid choice. Please try again message, and this menu will help will execute. That means this will just execute again, and this will just give us any help information. So let's try that. So if I hit enter, then you can see that it is invalid choice. Please try again, and menu help was executed, and that means we are just getting this information again in the format that will help the client to execute that in this server. So let's see if I just run this command. That let me just make this bigger. Let me see that now we have to run this cl command. So if you see here that let's just go back, and you could see in this main menu in the string choice that is entered by the user EL. It is basically if this is EL, then it will just list the connection. That means we have to call now list connection, that is this method. And we have taken a whole lot of time to explain this list connection method. And basically this will give you IP address, port name, PC name, OS name. So let's see if this works or not. So let's see that is let's list this EL, and let me just hit enter. You can see this has now formatted, and basically it has shown some of the misplaced, because this name should be over here, and OS is basically this Windows 10. You could see it has shown this virtual machine, and it is perfectly correct because I'm not on the virtual machine. It has shown this port it is communicating to, and basically you can see that this is the IP addresses. So that means that this is our connection. So you can clearly see this is our list of connections that is available, and now you can also close that connection, because if you see here in the main menu, you have just written a code that is saying if the inputted from the user command is dash dash x, it will just close. That means this method will close and this method will call, and this will close our connection. So let's see if this works or not. So I'll just say yes. Then if I hit enter, it is saying process finished. Let's go back to our Windows machine. And you could see now the process is done. So no longer this Python is executing. So this is the way it works. We have already seen in the previous lecture how to just communicate between the server and a client by this simple code. Now in the next lecture we have done nothing. Till now we haven't executed any command in this Kali box. Obviously we haven't executed any command in the Windows machine. We haven't got any of the important features. And basically running the command and getting the screenshot or running the message. Anything interesting part like that should be covered in the next upcoming lecture. But for now you can see the information listed over here of the client machine that is communicated with the server. So this will be it for this lecture. From the next lecture we'll just make this backdoor much more advanced than before. So see you in the next one.
Welcome to this lecture. Now we have the another part in our socket programming, and that is our client side. So we have nearly finished our server side, though we haven't included any backdoors, like you may say the message backdoor or command executing backdoor, or basically it can be also the screenshots. We haven't covered that. We'll just cover in upcoming lectures. But before that we have to see how this socket is going to work, or basically how this communication is going on, because we have written one command to list this connection. We can just try that command in order to see the connection that is happening between this client and a server. So we have to now code for the client section. So for the client section in the virtual machine, I have installed this Windows and it is up and running over here. I have made use of this Notepad++ to code with the Python because it is lightweight, so I do not need to install the PyCharm over here because the PyCharm is more heavier than this Notepad++. So I've just installed the Notepad++. We'll just run our Python code from this command line, and I have installed, that is the Python. You could see in here I have just downloaded the Python, the latest version of Python, which is 3.7 in this Windows machine. So let's start coding over here. So as always, the first is to import, and I'll just say that first of all you have to create, obviously you have to create the file. I have created the new file backdoor.py. So the next thing I want to do is import some of this module. So before that, what you need to do is we have to just install some of the modules over here, and that should be done with the pip command. So what is basically the modules are this pywin32, and this pyscreeze is basically for the screenshot. So I'll just tell you that you can include, or basically you can download package all this with one go, and this WMI is basically for the Windows management instrumentation that will just track everything that we do in this machine. So let's see, and let's go here, that is in our Windows machine, and let's open our command prompt, and let me just open again. And here let me say something, that is first Python. In order to install that package, python yum pip, and install is the command to install the command, or basically to install the packages, and that is pywin32 and WMI. So you can simply say pywin32 pyscreeze, and next one is WMI. So let's hit enter and install that package first, because you have to install it, otherwise it is not going to be imported. And the next thing is to open your this Notepad++, and we'll just use some of this library that we just installed. So first one will be the system OS, and I'll also use the platform. We'll use the time in order to use that sleep module, and you should get this C types that is installed. And basically this is only some processes, and we have seen the SOP processes to execute the command in the Kali, or basically to execute the command in the client side. So this SOP process is basically to just call that methods like call method, popen method. So this will just execute commands in this terminal. So next thing what I want to do is the threading, and the last one maybe I want to install is WMI, which we just installed here. So after that I want to get the new command, and basically I want to import the another, that is win32, and this should be installed if you just install this package, which is right here, win32, and another is the win error and win32 event. Okay, it is right here, win32 event, and let me just write one more, and that should be your last one, that is win32 in, that should be maybe crypt. Let's see if this gets error, we'll just rectify. So the last thing what I want to import is from this win registration, I want to import everything, and I'll just tell you when we are coding that what is the importance of each of these. So before that, let me show you all of these over here. We'll just make this socket to just get the communication, OS is to directory file management, we'll just we work with this, and system and the platform. The main important here is the sub process, because this is going to make our backdoor to be executed in this machine, and this WMI is for the privilege of this Windows machine, and threading is for the thread operations. So let's start coding some of these manually. So first of all, I'll just say string host, and this host should be your Kali Linux IP address. So I'll just say 192.168.1.11 is my Kali address IP address. You can also check by typing ifconfig, and the next one is obviously the port, you should guess now, and the port will be 4444, which the Kali will be listening to. The next thing I want to do is to get the path. So let's see what the path we want to get. So that is from this OS module, I'll just say path, and it should be real path. We should have something that is real path method. And one of the biggest disadvantage of this notepad++ is basically it doesn't have accurate command suggestion. So if you use PyCharm, that will be interesting because it gives everything that you need, and installing the package is obviously very much easier in the case of PyCharm. So basically what we are doing here is we are just getting this argument by the system, that is to get the file path. So basically this is to get the file path. So next is I'll just use this temporary folder to get the temporary path. So if you want the temporary path, there is another command in the OS, that is going to be the environment command, and here we have to just get the f data, because if you know, in this machine or in any machine, or basically in the Windows machine, the temporary is after this app data. So we have just inserted this app data. Now integer buff, it is basically the maximum digit we want to include is 1204 bytes. So next thing I want to do is handle the mutex, or basically the function to prevent the multiple instances. So now before implementing the mutex in our program, let me know you about the mutex. So what is mutex? Mutex is basically the mutual exclusion. So what happens is basically, let me just take an example. Let me say I create this mutex, and next thing is I just update something that may be list. Okay, if I just update list, and now if I release that mutex, which is obviously the mutual exclusion, so this may be the operation. So let me just take example over here, that is saying this is the 3 operations that we do here. And what is about this mutex? So first of all, mutex is basically a function. Basically it will just prevent the multiple instances. That means if this is the operation update list, then this update list can be carried out or can be performed only by the single thread. So that is very important of mutual exclusion, that is no multiple can use or no multiple thread can use this single list. So this is important because we want the operation to be done by only single thread. That means we can prevent now multiple instances. So in order to prevent multiple instances, we make use of a mutex, because thread can be used to do multiple tasks at a time, but I want only single thread to use this event to prevent from the multiple instances. So let's say we want to use mutex, or basically you can also check the documentation for the mutual exclusion to know more about the mutex, but the main idea is we want only one single thread to execute that operation to prevent from the multiple instances. So we'll just make use of this win32 event which is just included over there. And now we want to use this create mutex method, and here the parameter is none first and 1, and the third is your mutex. So the mutex is pa, okay, so it should be pa, give this, and mutex and xp4. So this will be the way in order to create the mutex. You can check the documentation, there is nothing to say over here. It is simple the argument that is predefined with the mutex. Just remember that mutex is going to prevent the multiple instances so that single thread can execute certain operation. So next thing what we can do is to see if this mutex is executing or not. So in order to do that, we'll make use of this window32 API and get the last error method, and over here we'll see if the error is already existing or not. So in order to see if the error is already existing, we have this win error that we just imported from here, and we'll just check now if error is already existed or not. So if error already, and there is command that is saying exist, so if there is already error exist, then what you're gonna do is, let me give the tab, and in that case mutex should be none. Otherwise, or basically if this is the case, if we just get the error, then you have to exit. There is no chance because there is error, we have to exit from that. So this is the way to just create the mutex, to try the mutex on your machine. So next thing is to try to see the sandboxy. So let me say you first the sandboxy, about the sandboxy. So let me open here, and this is the program that is going to be sandboxy. So what happens is, basically if you download any program, maybe let me say if I download any program from maybe torrent, so it can have some malicious code inserted over there. So if I download any file that look legitimate for me, but that can have any malicious code inserted, that can have also payload inserted with that file. So in order to just make your harmful file directly inserted to your system, there comes this program that is sandboxy. So what happens is, instead of just directly downloading and installing your program to the system which can contain some malicious code, first of all it will run on this sandboxy program, and it will just see if that is the genuine application or not. If that is the genuine application, then it will directly download, or basically it will install to the main system. If that is the program that contains some malicious code, and in that case it won't harm to the system because that will be run in the sandboxy application. So that happens basically if you just download any application that is from the malicious website. So instead of just harming for your computer, it will download it on the sandboxy, and it won't get any harmful code injected to your computer. So this is the application. So first of all, instead of just downloading our backdoor directly to the system, we have to now set this detect sandboxy. Okay, first of all it should be detect. Let's go over here, let's make some spaces, and I'll just say detect first and sandboxy. So this will be the method. So what we are going to do over here is, we'll see if there is sandboxy installed or not. So I'll just say okay, try, and here we have to first of all download that library. So I'll just say library handle, and in order to download any DLL files, we have this ctypes module in the Python, and in order to download we have this windll, and I'll just say load library method. So what this load library does, it will just take an argument in the form of DLL or any library. So the library that we are going to use for this sandboxy is SBIE DLL and it should be with the extension DLL, because this is the DLL file. Let me just close. So this is the library, or this is the file that we are going to download in our window, so that we'll just install it, or we'll just install our backdoor in this sandbox here, so that our computer won't get harmed. So next thing is to return, and I'll just say return me the sandbox, which is obviously the string over here. And now let me just close this first. So this will be instances, so let me just close this first, and after that let me just return this from this method, which is sandbox. So I have just misspelled it. It should be I over here. So we have now, this is basically the instances of the sandbox. If we just download this DLL, it will just return that sandbox. And I have already told that installing a backdoor directly to that system will be very dangerous. So first of all, we'll just see that in this program that is called the sandbox, and basically it gives a sandbox, which is to download the application and see if that backdoor works perfectly on that sandbox. So next thing is to catch the exception, and if there is any exception that we catch, and we don't know what the exception we are going to catch, so simply we'll write exception, because we don't know name. That means we'll simply try to catch any exception that comes, and we'll just return empty string. So we have defined this sandbox, and basically just remember, this is only the application where we are going to run our backdoor. So next is to detect the virtual machine. So let me just write some of these commands so that it will be easier for us after we just try to connect to the system. So I'll just give the tab again, and what this method is going to get us is the information about our virtual machine, because if you know, we're going to run in this Windows, or basically you can also have the Mac or Linux in the virtual machine. So this method will get the information about the virtual machine and the OS that it has installed. So let's go back again, and in this detect VM, next thing what we are going to do is, if you remember, we have installed this package which is saying window management instrumentation. We have to make use of that module now. So here what I'm going to do is, I'll just say we object of WMI, because I have to instantiate that object, and it is this class which is WMI. So now what you are going to do is, you have to go to the query of the WMI, because we want the information about the virtual box, we want to detect the virtual machine. So in order to do that, you have the query in the WMI. So you can also search for WMI in the Google and get the information about this window management instrumentation. It will just tell us about the information, like it will just get the information about the status of local or remote computer system, and the configuration and everything about the permissions. So this is the window management instrumentation, and we have to get the information of a virtual machine from this object now. So I'll just say for, not from, it is for, and I'll just make one interesting variable here, that is object disk drive. So if you just see, this is giving us a clarity what this variable is about. So it is about the disk drive that is installed in our virtual machine. So I'll just say object of WMI, and we have this method which is the query method in this object WMI. And if you see the query of this WMI, it is similar to that of SQL. If you ever have used the SQL, we have there the select statement. In order to select everything, we use this star method, and we use this from, because we want everything from Windows 32 disk drive. So let me just type real quick. So what we did was, we just made a simple query here saying that I want everything about the disk drive in that virtual machine. So next thing is, we just give a tab again here, because we are inside this for. Okay, I've just left here colon, and let me give the colon, let me give the tab, and now over here we have to now get the virtual box. So if virtual box is in, basically what we're taking here is, we want to give the information, or we want to source the information of a virtual box in this object disk drive. So in order to do that, we'll first see this object disk drive, and inside that we have this caption option, and we have to convert this to the lower because we have seen here this is VirtualBox is all in lower, so we don't want any confusion with this string name. So we'll see that, or we can also search for the virtual. So this is to search for this virtual disk in that installed drive, and it will be also in this object. Okay, it is obj object disk drive and caption again and lower. So we are just searching for this string, and if we just get that, we want to return, you should guess that is your virtual machine. So I'll just say I want to return my virtual machine. So let's do that, and let's go up on here. Else, in the else part, or basically after maybe here, if we didn't get any information, we have to return something from this function. And if there is no information about the virtual machine, what you are going to do is will simply return that is empty string, which will be in the case of the live window machine. But in our case, we are just running in the virtual machine, we'll just get information about the virtual machine. So this will be wrap for this lecture. This has been long lecture learning about some of these modules and starting to build our own client. And then in the next lecture, we'll see how we can connect to the server and do some operations. So see you in the next one.
I see your wrist, keep it rolling on my ice. That's gonna be a cold out summer. You don't need no hot girl summer, you with me now. Time zone free now. Stepping with a stepper, so you stepping out clean now. I tell her, baby, come put it on me. Put it on me. I'm in the place and she loving on me. On me. Oh, you looking good. Oh, you looking nice. Oh, you looking right. You're feeling my vibe.